Hi everyone, good morning. Good morning. Can you hear and see me clearly? Good morning everyone. Am I clearly visible and audible? Yes. For some reason, I don't think I could go live in the app. Yeah, clearly visible. For some reason, my app does not show me live. Nonetheless, if you can hear and see me clearly, very good morning. Welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep. My name is Alpa Sharma, and this is our daily editorial analysis. What are we going to do today? You know, I have an urge to find out new articles. I am bored of the usual articles. So I've got one usual article and one unusual one. Very, very likely you haven't read the article, the first article that I've got. So in the class, we're going to be doing two articles. I'm sure इसमें से एक article आपने जरूर पढ़ा होगा. But my heart did not allow me to miss this article. I have to take that article even if you've read it. The second article, I'm sure you haven't read it. So we'll discuss that in detail. You will love this article, the one that you haven't read. I'll not tell you what that is about. We'll take out the vocabulary from both the articles, we'll memorize that. And in the end, you can write down the summary of each article under my video in the comment section. Towards the end, we'll look at today's Hindu and Indian Express and we'll see what's important, what do we need to study from these two newspapers, and what can we miss out. So that's about the good morning, Ragini, Muskan, Ritik. आज कोई glitch था, and because of the glitch I could not go live in the app, and that's why my video will be a little delayed in the app. I hope you will be okay with that. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Let's quickly start off with the vocabulary from today's articles. But before this, before I proceed, I'll take you here. Today at 6 p.m. I'm coming live on our YouTube channel, BYJU'S Exam Prep CLAT, where I'll be taking a session on which all examination forms you should fill out and what all colleges you can get into once you fill out one specific form. For example, CLAT का form है तो CLAT के marks कौन-कौन से colleges लेते हैं, CLAT के अलावा कौन से form fill करने चाहिए, वो कौन से colleges ले लेते हैं admission. I'll be talking about all of that. Another session I'll bring on next week where I'll be talking about preferences क्या होनी चाहिए आपकी NMUs की, ठीक है? I'll be talking about that. And one more session I'll be bringing where I'll be coming live on Monday with Abhimanyu sir, where both of us will be talking about BLLB, BBLLB, BSc जो भी है, क्या difference है, कौन सा prefer करना चाहिए according to us, according to our experience. So आज का session 6 p.m. on YT, which all forms you should fill out, किन चीजों पे डिपेंडेंट है आपको कौन सा फॉर्म फिल आउट करना है, कौन कौन से कॉलेजेस में आप जा सकते हो एक स्पेसिफिक फॉर्म फिल करके. मेक श्योर यू डोंट मिस आउट ऑन दोस सेशंस. Yes, Khushi, it is. Yes, Shweta, you can. Good morning everyone. Okay, everyone who has doubts about CUET, आज CUET का फॉर्म आउट हो जाएगा. There's a little bit of confusion about कौन-कौन से colleges ले रहे हैं CUET के through admission और exactly क्या examination में पूछा जाएगा in detail. So you have to give us this one day today so that we can analyze the forms clearly, and then probably tomorrow we'll be in a better position to tell you कि CUET लेना चाहिए या नहीं लेना चाहिए. Okay? Oh, it is Priya. It is because आपको भी वो forms fill करने होंगे, right? It's for you as well. शादी है मेरी बच्चे. I've been married for the last 10 years. First word, abridged. So abridged is, okay, this is a river. When you have to cross the river, you make a bridge. You shorten the distance from going from this side to that side. So abridging is basically making something concise or shortened, usually used with pieces of writing. An abridged text of the speech, a shorter form of the speech. Text में what was Okay. Kaveri, I'll discuss about CUET tomorrow. Not today. I'll tell you about CUET tomorrow. Let me analyze the form in detail today, and that's when I'll tell you what is this examination, should you fill it out or not. Okay? Muskan, I'll tell you tomorrow. Let me figure out this CUET form. Yes, Sachin. Okay, can we talk about colleges और कौन से colleges के forms हैं नहीं है सचिन हम इसको 6 PM बात करें इसके बारे में ठीक है DU में है कि नहीं IP यूनिवर्सिटी में है कि नहीं वो सब मैं 6 PM में एड्रेस करूंगी ओके बैक टू द क्लास हियर एवरीवन cut down edited truncate yes brief condense wane all of these are synonyms all of these very good diminishing next word morbid देखो if you remember last week we did a word moribund remember this word moribund is like dead morbid is different usually people get confused between the words morbid is unhealthy morbid and toxic smoke environment pollution that makes the life unhealthy is morbid. His morbid fascination with the horrors of contemporary warfare, unhealthy, toxic, is morbid. Moribund is like dead. Don't be confused between the two words. Tanisha, soon, bache. Unhygienic ailment, sick, yes. Of course, abysmal related हो गया unsafe. Okay. All right. The next one. I will not tell you Navya where have I taken the article from. I want you to read that and decide. One article is from the Indian Express, but the other article I'll not tell you. Okay. And I'm sure most of you haven't read that article. So the next one. Expunged is obliteration. Simple. Obliteration we've done multiple times in the past. To wipe out, remove completely is expunged. The kind of man that could expunge an unsatisfactory incident from his memory, he could wipe it out. Wipe out or obliterate is expunged. Yes, morbid. Detrimental is morbid. It is unpleasant. Macabre. Yes, Prachi. Yes, you're right. Okay, so uproot, yes, that's a synonym to expunged. All right, let's move on to the next one. Loam. Okay, loam and mulch. You guys who come to my paid classes, you guys would know how much inclination I have towards growing my own veggies and farming, right? So mulching and loam is related to it. Loam is basically a combination of clay, sand and silt. 3 types of soil. When you combine them, it makes a perfect soil for potting or planting something. Loamy mixture of clay, silt and sand. Okay. Mulching is when there's a cover of leaves or anything else, or for example, the outer cover of a coconut. When you cover the topmost level of the soil, when you have planted something with leaves or the shell of coconut, the scrapings of coconut, so that the upper layer is protected. That process is called mulching. It protects the soil from frost or any other kind of harmful chemicals that might enter into it. That process is called mulching. Understood both of it, everyone? What is loam and mulch? Gloomy is sad, Shahi. Good morning, Nikita. Whose birthday is it? Kaveri? Wish you a very happy birthday, my child. I wish you lots and lots of success, happiness, growth, love in the year to come. Is my voice echoing? ये भी confirm कर दो. Is my voice echoing? Is my voice echoing, everyone? Could you मल्च फिर से समझाती हूँ. गुलशन, मल्च कुछ नहीं होता है, बेसिकली ऑल क्लियर. मल्च कुछ नहीं होता है, 3 तरीके की सॉइल का मिक्सचर होता है. जब गमले में पौधा लगाते हैं ना, तो हमेशा कोशिश करते हैं कि मल्च हो उसमें. नॉर्मल अगर आपने गार्डन की मिट्टी उठा के लगा दी ना, तो वो बहुत टाइट मिट्टी हो जाती है. उसमें पानी और एयर का जो ड्रेनेज होता है ना, वो रुक जाता है. तो सॉइल का कॉम्बिनेशन ऐसा होना चाहिए कि वो पानी को रिटेन भी करे और पानी ज्यादा हो तो वो पास भी हो जाए. तो उसके लिए ना पॉटिंग के लिए एक मिक्सचर बनाते हैं हम. वो मिक्सचर होता है सैंड का, सिल्ट का और क्ले का. क्योंकि क्ले वाटर रिटेन करेगी और सैंड के थ्रू वाटर पास आउट हो जाएगा, सीप हो जाएगा अगर ज्यादा वाटर हो जाएगा तो इन तीनों चीजों के मिक्सचर का जो मिक्सचर बनता है ना, वो अप्रोप्रिएट मिक्सचर होता है किसी भी पौधे को लगाने के लिए. उसको हम लोम बोलते हैं. ठीक है. और मल्च होता है बेसिकली कभी भी आपने जैसे कोई पेड़ देखा है, तो उस पेड़ में जहां ज्यादा बर्फ पड़ती है, अगर आप वो बर्फ गिर जाएगी वहां उस पेड़ की सॉइल के ऊपर में, तो वो बर्फ पानी की सप्लाई को भी रोक देगी, गीली कर देगी उसकी रूट्स को, डिस्ट्रॉय कर देगी, रॉट कर देगी उसकी रूट्स को. तो उसको फ्रॉस्ट या बाकी चीजों से बचाने के लिए हम सॉइल के ऊपर ना लीव्स की एक लेयर डाल देते हैं, या फिर फर्टिलाइजर की एक लेयर डाल देते हैं, नेचुरल फर्टिलाइजर जो होते हैं, या फिर कोकोनट का जो बाहर का थ्रेड लाइक कवरिंग होती है ना, उसको पुल करके वो डाल देते हैं हम ऊपर, ताकि वो ऊपर की लेयर प्रोटेक्ट हो जाए. दैट इज मल्चिंग. मॉर्बिड फिर से समझाती हूँ. मॉर्बिड इज नथिंग बट समथिंग दैट्स अनहेल्दी एंड टॉक्सिक इज मॉर्बिड, या फिर अबनॉर्मल. तो क्या हम बोल सकते हैं दिल्ली का जो एनवायरमेंट है इट्स मॉर्बिड, क्योंकि वहां बहुत ज्यादा पोल्यूशन है. ओके. Unhealthy environment is morbid. Exactly, Shakshi. Understood all the words, everyone? Although लोम का कोई सिनोनिम नहीं है बच्चे. इट्स अ टेक्निकल jargon. इसका कोई सिनोनिम नहीं है नाव्या. Okay? Now, the whole point is the article does not link to farming. These words are used contextually with a different meaning altogether. They're used idiomatically. The article is not about farming. We'll learn about that later on. Slide number 1, take a very quick screenshot, everybody. And I'm sure you haven't read the article, all of you. Let's move to the next page. Slide number 2. Okay, derision. That's the tone of the author. Mockery, ridiculing, demeaning, condescending. That kind of a tone is derision. My stories were greeted with derision and disbelief. People mocked my story. They criticized my story. That mocking or criticism or ridiculing or condescending tone is derision. Got that, everyone? Purva, I will not tell you where this article is from. Nalsar wala article to lena hi hai bachche. वो तो आपको पता है मैं लेने वाली हूँ, because you know my heart lies there. But apart from that, there's another article which you haven't read, which I have bought today. Okay, so that's derision. Next word is pigeon. What does it mean? Have you heard the word, everyone? Okay, so the article that I have bought, the first article, is about language. Okay, so pigeon is basically a simplified form of language for a person who does not speak in that language. अब जैसे आपको मुझे French सिखानी है, I would use a simplified version of French because your native language isn't French. That simplified version of language is called pigeon. Yes. Belittling for derision is a synonym. You're right. Yes. No. He's not Mr. Tharoor. He's somebody else, but has the same kind of tone like Mr. Tharoor has. Okay. So, Navya, I answered your question, bache. Acha, yes. I answered your question. Did you get it, bache? Actually, for some reason, the video is a little delayed in the app. That's why maybe there's a gap. Idioms अलग होते हैं प्राची. Idioms तो मुहावरे होते हैं. लेकिन मैं दूसरा एग्जाम्पल यूज करती हूँ. If I have to teach you Assamese, I will not teach you the hardcore difficult terms of Assamese. I'll use Assamese in a simplified manner so that you can understand Assamese. Because Assamese is not your native language. So using a simplified version of a language so that a common person gets it, a non-native speaker gets it, is pidgin. Okay. Next one. So we exchange greetings communicating in pidgin Spanish, simplified Spanish. Okay. Just a minute, guys. Somebody's calling me again and again and again. Let me turn my phone off. Okay. Oh yes, I know Assamese. I can read and write in Assamese and Bengali as well. Read and write. Next word, woes, sorrow, suffering, woes. Okay, so the article is not an environment. No. So hyperbole is exaggeration of something. You're right. Okay. Yes, Karthik. That can be an example of pidgin. Okay. Yes, Mayur, you are right. That's an example of pidgin. Sadness for woes. Next word is patronage. Okay, patron. Who is a patron? Patronage is an example of the power to control appointments to office or the right to the privileges. You have the right. You have the right to control. You have privileges with you. Recruits are selected on merit, not through political patronage, not through political privilege, not through political power that they have, but on the basis of the merit. That's patronage. Last word, fenced in. That's a phrase. So fenced in basically to encompass or to create a boundary and enclose rather. Encompass is the wrong word. I would rather use enclose. Fenced in is enclosing or restricting or confining so that the person isn't able to move out of it. He wanted to take on more assignments but was fenced in by his contract. He was restricted by his contract. Ex officio. Yes, Kushi. Nepotism is an example. Yes. 2020 nepotism आया था question CLAT में. Remember direct word meaning of nepotism. A one word substitution था. CLAT में था, ALET में था. I think CLAT में था. So restrained, prohibited, bound, hindering, confined. All of that is fenced in. Morose for woes, you are right, Navya. No, Pragyansha, no, that's not the article. But I'd like to read that article. Where did it appear? I'd like to read that. Yes, Shefi, that's a related word. Okay, guys, ready for the article now? I'm sure you haven't read the article, but before that, two things before I proceed with the article. One, did you like my video? That's my Guru Dakshina. You have to pay me my Guru Dakshina for attending these free classes. Please pay the Guru Dakshina, like the video, share the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Two, since I think I have the maximum number of people live right now, today at 6 p.m. I'm coming live with a session on which all forms should you fill out on apart from CLAT and ALET and what all colleges you can get into. By sitting with one examination CLAT, what all colleges take admission through CLAT apart from the NLUs, what all colleges take admission through ALET, SLAT, LSAT, कहाँ जा सकते हो, कौन से form fill करने चाहिए, all of that 6 p.m. today on our YouTube channel. Don't miss out on the session. No, I have a third slide. Okay, we don't have a third slide. We have only this word. Every other word is repeated. Xenophobia. We've done this word multiple times in the past. Okay, xeno is outsider or foreigner. So hatred for a foreigner is xenophobia. Now foreigner can be people from other country. The resurgence of racism and xenophobia. I've been a victim of xenophobia. ये आप लोगों को पता है. So hatred for people from any other country is xenophobia. Yes. नहीं यशान मुझे वो नहीं चाहिए. I don't need that. Thumbs up दे दो. देखो अभी भी 80 people are watching, only 60 have liked. Not fair. Yes, Ritik, they are. Chalo, let's start with the article. Let's start with the article. Here we go. But before that, if you're targeting CLAT 2022, batch 3 of the crash course has been launched. Look no further, enroll yourself at the earliest. Lord, give me a new language. Have you read this article? Anyone? Shelly, what's your question about? Acha, which country? France. Okay. So, no, you haven't read it? No. This article is from the Hindu comment column section. Let's understand this. Beautifully written. Let's go with the flow. Let's break the article into pieces. Let's make a story in our head. Let's practice mind mapping. Mind mapping, I'm sure all of you who come to my paid classes know what mind mapping is. Long after 1947, Indian schoolgoers continued to get a strong dose of class 6 of English literature in abridged, simplified versions. Of course, because English was a new language to us and we were still trying to learn, and our prime language predominantly was Hindi and many other vernacular languages. That's why learning English literature continued even after 1947 in Indian schools in a simplified manner. The morbid aspects of the 19th century classics like Wuthering Heights, Jane Eyre, Lorna Doone were carefully expunged, and children of 12 to 14 put these books down with the sense of having experienced the firesides of the English homes. What does it mean? It means that while children were taught to read these kind of books in schools, when they read them and when they kept it aside, they actually could feel or experience how English homes were, the kind of fireplaces they had, and the moors and meadows of the countryside. What are moors? They're like grasslands, and meadows. So once a child read these books and kept it aside, the child experienced the same kind of environment and household and surrounding an English household would have. So it's like living the life Englishmen live. Okay? Though somewhat distance. अब यहाँ तक क्या बोला author ने? Let's break the part. Paragraph 1 talks about reading English books and experiencing what Englishmen experience in their homeland. That's the first paragraph about. Agreed? Wuthering Heights का मतलब क्या होता है? बच्चे अपने इंग्लिश क्लासिक लिटरेचर की वन ऑफ द मास्टरपीसेस है वुदरिंग हाइट्स. ओके, चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. दिस इज ऋषभ, दिस इज फ्रॉम द हिंदू. Okay, so though somewhat distanced through retellings, English literature constituted such a huge cultural force that even people who had never visited Britain felt that they knew something about the country and its people. क्योंकि हमने इतनी English books पढ़ ली थी, people who read these books felt that they have visited Britain sometime in their lives. They were so into it. And these books were not exactly the same books. They were retellings. Why were they retellings? They were retellings because they were in an abridged and simplified manner, which Indian audience could understand. So these were retellings. Yet, even if they were retellings, the readers could feel that they have visited Britain once in their lifetime. From chrysanthemums to cucumber sandwiches, a deep familiarity was built through books and writers located 10,000 kilometers away. So these are only examples of things you probably would have experienced yourself. Chrysanthemums around you, eating cucumber sandwiches. हम नहीं खाते हैं हमारे घरों में. In the last few years, we have started doing that. But if you talk about 1947, that wasn't our staple diet. That wasn't our common flour. You can find them now very popularly because of the globalization and urbanization. But at that time, it wasn't a part of our regular lifestyle. Yet we could see that. Okay. So what goes on? This Indo-Anglian loam was further mulched by several hundred of departments of English literature. It was mulched, it was protected. Now you understand the contextual meaning of mulch, everyone? Yes? It was this loam, this soil was mulched, it was protected by several hundreds of departments of English language, literature, which watched literature courses in Britain keenly. So these English literature departments, like our department in DU and many other universities, the job was to protect this loam. Understand the context here of the loam and mulch? They protected the British literature keenly. In the bookish hierarchy, right up till 1990s, with Indian scholars of Dawn and Eliot being more than a match to anyone anywhere, homegrown writers, except for Tagore, were shown their place. That was outside Indian classrooms. Matlab, till 1990s, none of the Indian writers had a place in Indian classrooms. Only one, Tagore. Every other person, every other Indian writer was shown a place outside. That this is not your place. Only and only English writers, probably Dawn or Eliot. That's what you need to read. Or at max, read Tagore, you could read his poems. है ना? क्योंकि Tagore holds a very important position in the politics of our country as well. So, except for Tagore, nobody was given a place in the classrooms. Precisely during these same decades, which was something of a golden age of Indian bilinguality, another altogether a different robust wave was surging in the opposite direction. Now, what was the bilinguality here? Hindi, a common language, and understanding in English, because English books were a part of us. And these were majorly the two languages we were studying. We saw something else brewing up in the opposite direction. That was enriching India's reading pool. Translations of the world literature was steaming in through a regional language publishing houses. What was brewing up? Probably a famous book like Wuthering Heights, written in Tamil, written in Telugu, written in Assamese. Why? So that the readability of the book increases. So it started off with retellings in English, but then there came a change. Things started brewing up in the sense these books were republished and retold in local languages, in vernacular languages. European works, both new and old, both literary and non-literary, began exerting a great influence on Indian readers. Not only English now, European ones as well. In different languages. Who were the translators? Nobody knows, but they were available. I'm sure if you have stopped on a red light in Delhi and if you found a bookseller, you'll find all these books written in English, translated in Hindi and available. I've seen my relatives reading the Amish trilogy, Shiva trilogy in Hindi as well. Why? To increase the readability of something. Okay. Any specific reason for mulching? Yes. इनका काम था ये इंग्लिश लिटरेचर को प्रोटेक्ट करना बच्चे. ओके इनका काम था इंग्लिश लिटरेचर को प्रोटेक्ट करना क्योंकि ये इंग्लिश लिटरेचर डिपार्टमेंट को बिलोंग करते थे. तो जो सॉइल थी एंग्लो इंडियन सॉइल उसको प्रोटेक्ट करने का काम ये डिपार्टमेंट्स करते थे. You're right, Sakhi, even now. We don't have questions. इतना समझ में आया? Did you understand this, everyone? Did you understand this? No, Rishabh, this is not from the text and context. It's from the opinion page. Columns, sorry, not the opinion page, from the columns. Did you understand this, everyone? Yes, let's move on. So, who were the translators? Nobody knows. आगे क्या होता है? Quite unexpectedly, many Indians who did all their readings in their mother tongues drew smartly abreast with the world literature. Although, you know, when you come across teachers, they would say, read Wuthering Heights only in English, read any language in the language it is written in. But अगर ऐसा होता, तो हम बहुत सारी books, for example, A Thousand Splendid Suns, नहीं पढ़ पाते. क्योंकि वो जिस language में लिखी हुई थी, वो हम समझ नहीं पाते. Do you know this? Have you read A Thousand Splendid Suns? So, or for example, books written by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. You might not have read the book. Nonetheless, by translation, a lot of people now started reading literature, world literature, not only English ones. In translating Bharat, Manisha Chaudhary recalls her meeting with her 75-year-old South Indian in-law. For 2 days, the conversation in a shorthand conversation क्या होता है? एक word में conversation, one word conversation. And the only thing they spoke about was which books have they read. The in-law read the books in Malayalam. She read them in English. She asked, did you read Shakespeare? He said yes. Charles Dickens? He said yes. When he asked me Marquez, she was shocked because that's a kind of writing that's become popular lately. I'd say probably 20 years back. Marquez wasn't as popular a writer. She nearly fainted. He had read all of these writings in Malayalam. Those early translators were responsible for creating deeper, richer patterns in the weave of the history than the narrow and selective versions that we are usually offered. Narrow and selective. Shakespeare पढ़ लो, Wuthering Heights पढ़ लो, दो तीन और पढ़ लो, limited ones. But then when it went beyond Shakespeare and Dickens and reached Marquez, she was pleasantly surprised. How does it impact? How does the translation impact? Increasing your knowledge about world literature, world lifestyles, civilizations, and everything else. So that's the beauty of translations in vernacular languages. Yes, Sakhi, that's true. Same here, Shreya. Same here. Muskan, I'll show you that in the end when I show you the roundup, okay? Rishabh, I'll show you the roundup. Okay. Exactly, Priya. That's the point. And if there was not a translation, how would we come across such a beautiful piece of writing? We would have missed out on that. In India West, an encounter set off an implosion of reactions in social attitudes. How? Now there's another point coming off in this new paragraph. There's an implosion of reactions in social attitudes. One way in which popular culture managed the mix of admiration and hostility Indians felt for their rulers. Who were our rulers? You know. जिनकी books हमको forcefully पढ़नी पड़ती थी schools में. We actually could feel admiration as well as hostility for our rulers through the use of humor and ridicule, particularly because these works rarely went beyond home readership. A book translated in Malayalam, you would not find that in your school textbooks. And thus, these translated books were only for home readership. और घर बैठ के आप humor भी enjoy करोगे, ridicule भी enjoy करोगे, indirectly admiring and hating the rulers you had. Because derision and laughter are form of resistance. And we could show derision and laughter as a form of a resistance to our rulers. Rulers, the colonies. Okay? Everybody went to talking about books. I'm glad I got this article. Let's move on. आगे क्या होता है? The best paragraph of the article is yet to be visible to you. You haven't seen the best paragraph of the article yet. Ready for it, everyone? आगे क्या होता है देखते हैं. Last para नहीं आया समझ में? Okay, I'll re-explain this last paragraph here. It's basically these translations when they were easily accessible to a lot of people. And I'm repeating the last paragraph. Understand this. When these translations were easily available in vernacular languages to a lot of people, since they were not a part of our school curriculum, these translations were only constrained as home readership. They were limited to home readership. But we knew what our past was. We knew about our rulers, the Britishers we are referring to here. And sometimes we admire our rulers, like when we read an English literature book, we admire the Britishers. And then what comes back to our mind? The rule that they've had on us. We also have hostility in our mind. While we read these translations, the hostility and the admiration for our rulers comes back to us. But how does it come back to us? Directly, I hate Britishers. Like this? No, it doesn't come back like that. It comes back in the form of laughter, that is sarcasm, which is evidently visible in a lot of literature books, and derision, that is hatred. So when we read books in the vernacular languages, people who could not speak English, when they read books in vernacular languages, they could visibly see their admiration and hatred for the ruler, because these books were in access to them, because they were written in local languages. Understood this, everyone? अब आया लास्ट पैराग्राफ समझ में सबको? Can I move on? Now, let's move to the best paragraph of the article. Okay, now there's an example that explains how we could see derision and laughter as a form of our resistance for our rulers. Let's see this. For instance, 90 years ago, Parshuram published a hilarious satire called Ulot Puran. Ulot, Ulta, Puran, story. So the universe upside down. What happened in the Ulot Puran? In its futuristic time zone, India has conquered the West. That was written 90 years ago. India has conquered the West and Europeans are busy trying to mimic their colonizers. कौन है उनके colonizers? Britishers? No, the Bengalis. English women are learning to chew pan. Englishmen are struggling to stay warm in fine dhotis and kurtas. In a class called Bango English, students are speaking Pidgin Bengali, and a newspaper advertisement promises the icing on the cake. What is the newspaper advertisement promises? It promises the woes of white women will soon end. Once you use this miracle powder, your pale color will disappear and you'll acquire the exact hue of a Bengali woman. In ancient days, like Lord Ramachandra used it. Do you see humor? Do you see sarcasm? Do you see appreciation? Do you see that? So basically, this whole paragraph is a satire on what they did to us. And that's why it's called Ulot Puran. This whole obsession with fairer skin came in with the Englishmen. So that's why, okay, Purva, I think I have one more paragraph left, and that's when we'll discuss the end of it. So this is a sarcasm, a satire on how Britishers treated us. They made us dress like Britishers. They made us eat like Britishers. They made us look like Britishers. Obsession to fairer skin, right? And speak like Britishers. This is called Ulat Quran here. Several scholars have tried to identify the factors that led to the growth of translation in the subcontinent. Let's get back to the translation. Translation in local vernacular languages. The translation of Buddhist texts into Chinese, Sinhalese, Thai, and other languages, and the travels of Buddhist scholars overseas, the coming of Islam to India, and the tremendous energy that the encounter of the two worldviews unleashed. Colonialism. So basically, with the globalization, let me put it that way, and traveling of various religions to different countries, the arrival of English European influence and the sudden rise in translation activity which government patronage made possible after independence, and the globalization of the book industry as it is loosely termed, though we do not yet know where the globalization of literature is leading. So this paragraph talks about how the globalization of literature happened. It could be because of religion crossing borders. It could be because of colonization happening. It could be because of people traveling to other countries. These are the various reasons of the globalization of literature. Where are we going? We don't know. But how did it happen? We know that for sure. And that's because of the translation. So translation of many texts in regional languages and translation of many religious texts as well in regional languages that made you following a specific religion possible. Should we as readers be fenced in our lived experiences alone? No. And how do you not be fenced in? By reading literature from various sources. As the British proved, Indian children can taste muffins and scones through reading about them. थोड़ी demeaning है ना ये line? What's happening? Popsy, I'll answer that at 6 p.m. Okay, let's move on. So this line is a bit demeaning, but it continues, it gets better. Is it possible that only a narrative of India can resonate to the smell? See, this perspective is also a very good one. It says when we read books in English about English literature, we can actually probably feel the kind of lifestyles they had. So muffins and scones were not a part of our culture, but we could visualize ourselves tasting it while we read these English books. But if you talk about books that are written in Hindi or any vernacular language, locally written, is it possible that only we Indians can relate to the smell of cooking when a properly soured batter is just spread on a dosai griddle? Only we Indians can smell it? If these Hindi or Tamil or Telugu or Assamese or any other language books are translated in English and they reach the other nations, can they feel the same like we felt while we were reading about muffins and scones? The smell of sesame in the chili powder, that's the gunpowder. The tenderness of Bhimsen Joshi's Lalit Ragam. The poet Galit pleading, Lord, give me the different hearts, or at least give me a new language. If these books get a new language, probably English, can they reach wider audience? Yes, they can. With xenophobia sweeping the world, we are in danger of turning our backs on alternative culture. Abhi xenophobia हमारे country में all time high पे है. We are at a dangerous position and we are actually in the position of turning our backs to alternative cultures. Ironically, this trend has started just when accessing another culture was never easier. That is, right now, your access to different culture is the easiest it has ever been. Yet, xenophobia is at an all-time high in our country. We need more of the invisible bridges that translators laboriously build to introduce the world via world literature to the reading public. Other books written in our language, our local language books written in other languages as well, that the world can read. Then we might even see the emergence of true citizens of the world. True citizens of the world, a person who reads books written in various languages. It could be you, it could be an Englishman, it could be a French. So unless you read a few translations, how will you know what you are missing out on? The author urges you to read translated books. Did you understand the article, everyone? Did you understand this, everybody? Yes? What's the main idea? Not the tone, but what's the main idea according to Purva? Could you try? I think we'll do only one article today. We'll have to miss the Nalsar article. But I'll give you my 2 cents about the article. Oh, Saki, that's humorous. I've told that multiple times, Shweta, maybe some other day. It's a long story. What's the main idea here, everyone? What's the main idea? Main idea, everyone. Translation of different work has the ability to bring the world together, and he also urges you to read translated works and promote it. Scones beta sweet होता है, हमारे country में इतना popular नहीं है. Yes, Divjot. It also persuades readers, and how translation helps. Movies mind map देखो बच्चे. Yes, Sakshi, you're right. The author speaks that how different cultures, people can be abridged. Yes, Anushka. That's true. Correct. Now I think everyone gets this article. Yes, Shafi, you're right. Yes, Sakhi, you're right. Yes, Navya, Muskan, you're right. Okay, now one more thing, guys. Give me a second. Today at 12:30 on the BBA YouTube channel, I will come up with a class. Don't miss out on that. And apart from that, give me a second. Yes. Apart from that, what will be the tone? Tone क्या होगा? It cannot be sarcastic. Sarcastic is only an instance picked up from a book. It cannot be sarcastic here. It can be persuasive. It can be expository. I think expository would be the correct tone here. Okay? So that's the tone. 6 p.m. Remember, don't forget to attend the session live. Live attend करोगे तो questions hand to hand resolve हो जाएंगे. Live नहीं attend करोगे तो फिर obviously your questions will be pending. Attend the session live at 6 p.m. on which all forms should you fill out on. This is about this. If you're targeting CLAT 2023, comprehensive prep course batch 2 has been launched. Jaldi se enroll kar lo. I got this article about gender positive learning spaces like Nalsar, making its name and a benchmark. I will not be taking it for obvious reasons because we don't have a lot of time left and I have to show you the roundup as well. But if you haven't read this article, this came in the Indian Express. Please do read it. It has my heart. Okay, so don't forget to read this article. Let me show you today's Hindu and Indian Express. Give me a second. Also, let me show you ये article कहाँ से आया. Here we go. No, no, no. Give me a second, can't find it. Yes, here it is. Why is it not visible? Give me a second, guys. Trying to fix it. Yeah, here we go. No, 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 no. Satirical नहीं होगा, analytical हो सकता है नव्या. It can't be satirical. Okay. Here we go. So, okay. The Hindu and the article that I took. I forgot where did I take it from. I forgot. I forgot. I read so many articles, I absolutely forgot where did I take it from. Let's look at today's Hindu. Okay, skim through it. This is very important. Please read this. Skim through it. The CUET mandate. Yeah, read this. Leave this. This is very important. You have to read this article. He looks like somebody who skimmed through it. Yes, 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 yes. Please read it. The next page of text and context. Ma'am, how should I read? Hardly understand the main idea, ma'am. You have to break the passage into smaller fragments and understand the idea about each fragment. Then link it to a bigger picture. That's how you should read. Okay. Okay, here we go. Oh, no, no, no. You can read this. Let's look at the opinion page. भैया इमरान खान ने तो Okay, how individuals can save a warming planet. Yes, please read this. Russia and the West, a clash of civilizations. Skim through it. How BJP became every Indian's party. Chhod dena. Okay, NATO is a danger to world peace and it must go. Read this. Imran Khan's dangerous unconstitutional actions. Leave this. Denial of a book to Gautam Navlakha marks out bureaucratic. Skim through it. Latest IPCC report underlines why the climate action can no longer put off. Yes, important. Merger of HDFC Bank skim kar sakte ho. That's all. That's all from today's newspapers, everyone. Shall I show you the New York Times? You could read this one. America has a free speech problem. You could read this. You could read this as well. That's all. That's all. So, winding up the class, everyone. See you at 12:30 and then see you at 6. Have a very good day, everybody. And God bless you.